This is probably the most important video you will ever watch about magic apps. And honestly, I know a lot of people skip tutorial videos, especially basic tutorial videos. But please do not skip this one. The majority of problems people experience with magic apps are not actually caused by bad apps. They are caused by misunderstanding how smartphones, iOS, Bluetooth, APIs, push notifications and background processes actually work. And to be completely fair, most people were never taught these things. They just use apps every day without understanding what happens behind the scenes. If you understand this video, you will understand not only DV magic apps, but modern magic apps in general. This video is designed to save you frustration, failed performances, connection problems, misunderstandings, and unreliable setup. Because believe it or not, most failures are actually preventable user errors instead of app failures. If something in the future doesn't behave the way you expect, simply come back to this video and rewatch all the steps. Because once you understand these fundamentals that I'm going to go over today, suddenly everything starts to make sense. We're going to keep this as simple and compact as possible, guys. No unnecessarily technical jargon, just the things that actually matters for you as a performer. Chapter 1. Your iPhone is not a computer. It is important to understand, guys, an iPhone does not behave like a desktop computer. Apps do not run forever in the background. iOS constantly decides which apps stay active, which apps get paused, and which apps get terminated completely. And one thing to remember is, just because an app was open, that does not mean it is still active. Here are a few things that can trigger app suspension. So, for example, locking your phone, a low battery, low memory, background inactivity, power saving behavior, or iOS resource optimization. Those are all things that can take effect on your apps. To work around this, some professional magic apps use silent background audio, even when no audible sound is playing. Technically, this is more of a workaround than an officially intended Apple feature for magic apps. To understand this properly, iOS normally wants apps to sleep when they are in the background. That's simply easy to remember. However, apps that play audio are allowed to remain active longer. Some magic apps take advantage of this behavior to maintain communication while another app is in the foreground. Glyphs and Lumen are examples of apps that can remain active in the background while information is still being received, processed, or shared, which is also really important when an external device is connected to it, like a printer or an impression device. However, this does not mean unlimited background freedom. It always comes with side effects. Running an app this way can create side effects and limitations for your phone. So, for example, volume button conflicts, audio session conflicts, battery usage that is higher than usual, background behavior restrictions, and unexpected iOS changes between updates. And this is exactly why not every app can or should operate this way on an iOS device. Depending on what the app does, this workaround may create more problems than advantages. And also here come URL skis into play, but we come back to that a little bit later. Professional iOS magic development is often balancing reliability, limitations, and user experience within Apple's ecosystem. Especially when it comes to vibe coding, there's a lot of stuff going on, but I personally think we should respect Apple's rules and boundaries when it comes to apps and make the best out of it. Nothing on iOS is guaranteed forever. Apple always has the final control over the device. That's also important to understand. We cannot, however we try to manipulate the system, run through it permanently. Push technology is different. Some apps may look like they are running in the background, but technically something different is happening. Apps like Goo or Inject can use push notifications or web-based technology. It's a bit like with a WhatsApp notification or a message notification. That means the app is not necessarily fully active in the background all the time. Instead, a server can send a notification or a signal to the device. The system receives it and can wake up or update the app and send out the notification. So the app is not always alive in the same way as an app using background audio. It may be waiting for an external signal to arrive, to wake up for a bit and then go back to sleep. Background audio keeps an app active. Push technology can wake or notify an app. It's important to understand these differences. Push technology can be very powerful, but it usually depends on internet, Apple's push notification system, server availability, which is another big topic, network speed, notification delivery, timing. Those are just things you not necessarily need to have to remember, but just important that you heard about it. So push notifications are powerful, but they are not the same as local offline communication. And this is also where URL schemes are coming into play a bit later in this video. It's important to understand these differences and that these differences are existing. So just because an app reacts in the background does not mean it is actually running continuously in the background. Also another thing to remember. A locked phone changes everything. Guys, many people assume if my screen is off, the app is still fully running. This is not automatically true. So here are a few things that can happen. When a phone is locked, Bluetooth behavior may change, so the connection may get interrupted, background activity may slow down, connections may pause at all, network requests may delay, apps may enter sleep state, push notifications may be delayed, and background refresh may behave differently. Here are a few tips to prevent fully sleep mode on your phone, so apps have the best chance of surviving in the background. The first one is disable low power mode. Close all unnecessary apps before your performance, also important. A no-brainer is keep enough battery, of course, right? Test before performance, another no-brainer. Don't overload the device with a million gazillion different apps. And don't restart your phone right before a show, because that can reset a lot of things, so it's not always the best choice to do that. Bluetooth is radio technology. Another big topic is Bluetooth connection. Bluetooth is a wireless radio communication, and radio communication can be affected by many things. So common Bluetooth factors are the distance, walls, metal, crowds, extremely important to keep that in mind, especially when you're on big stages. Wi-Fi interference, yes, Wi-Fi can harm your Bluetooth connection. Other Bluetooth devices, it's the same like with big crowds when everyone has a phone that is sending out Bluetooth signals all the time. And of course, the battery level on your phone. Your phone may reduce the power that is sent through Bluetooth depending on the battery level on the phone, because iOS devices always try to remain working for as long as possible, so they may reduce some of the functionality of RF signals that are going out. So here are a few things, guys, that I think are important to mention. If you're a professional performer, keep a professional mindset. Test your setup first, understand the signal range. Always test your signal range in every venue or location. Optimize the positioning between your phone and the devices that you are sending to, and always have a backup plan. That's the best thing I can give you as an idea here. Wi-Fi does not mean internet. Oh my guys, this is a big one. Many people assume I'm connected to the Wi-Fi, therefore everything should work. That is not always true, because Wi-Fi only means your phone is connected to a local network. It absolutely does not automatically mean that internet exists, servers are reachable, APIs work, cloud systems work, and push notifications arrive instantly. You can have perfect Wi-Fi and still have no internet at all. That's the sad reality, guys. Keep that in mind. Some real-world examples are hotel Wi-Fi. Those Wi-Fis can block certain servers or notifications or signals or whatever that is required for apps to communicate with each other. Conventional Wi-Fi, overloaded public networks, and captive portals. We all have seen that when we've been to big venues with a lot of people walking around. I'm mentioning Blackpool here at this point, and when you try to access the internet there, you are having the exact same issues that we're just talking about. So keep that in mind. So local communication does not care about internet stability, and we're coming to that point right after this next one. What is an API? An API is basically a communication bridge between two systems. Pretty easy to understand, pretty easy in its basics. To get a small idea of what an API actually looks like, you have to understand one more thing and keep that in mind. JSON. You all have seen that in different Magic apps, and I bring that up what it looks like here. So in this example, we have David, Queen of Hearts, and status active. So name would be something like that was sent from an impression device or from Go or whatever it was. So when you want to get the name David's into your other app and receive it in your Omega app or wherever, you have to poll, that's another term that we come to later, you have to poll from the field name in this case. That would mean the API just requests what's in the name, in the field name, and it will be David. As soon as it's updated, the information will be replied to the app and it appears on your board, on your Instagram, or wherever. JSON is simply structured text. Apps read the text, then actions happen based on the data. Pretty easy to understand, pretty straightforward. But here's a down point in APIs. APIs are often not instant. Many apps pull information from another API. That means they repeatedly ask for updates every few seconds, not to bring a server down and not to send too many requests to a server. That means sometimes all 5 seconds the app is asking, is there a new term? The server replies no, and so on and so on. And as soon as something new is there, the app figures that out after the next polling interval, and then it will be updated. Not every app maintains a permanent live connection. Important to understand that. And the consequences are you have small delays, internet dependency, that's always a big thing, especially when you perform in Germany or in big venues as well. Server dependency, servers can go down. That's also in the nature of things. Most servers shouldn't do that, but it may sometimes happen. Wi-Fi problems and cell phone signal problems that are also a thing, especially in Germany. Let me know if that's the same thing in your country. So APIs are incredibly powerful, but local communication is usually more reliable than cloud communication. And this is where we come to the magic point. URL schemes, the superpower. Guys, URL schemes are one of the most powerful features on iOS, and very few people truly understand how powerful they really are. So here's an example of what an URL scheme actually looks like. We all have seen it before, I'm pretty sure you have, and now it's time to understand a little bit more about URL schemes and why I put it in all of my apps and in all DV Magic apps. It's the main communication course between those and external other apps. So one app can directly trigger another app locally, instantly. And important to know is these work fully offline, so especially important when you're on a cruise ship. No internet connection required, no cloud required, no server required, no API required, and no push notification required at all. This is one of the reasons why URL schemes are incredibly valuable for professional performers. So we at DV Magic doesn't just use URL schemes to open apps, because it's way more powerful. We use them to send data, trigger functions, automate actions, return information, a big thing here, and communicate between apps. What's the main purpose about URL schemes, right? So this is significantly more advanced than most Magic apps are doing it. That's important to keep in mind. So here's an example of a workflow, what it would look like when you send something from A to B, from app A to B with URL scheme. So app A launches app B, it brings it to the foreground. That's important as well. The app comes to the foreground as soon as it's triggered with an URL scheme. So it has full activity and it is back woken up in this point and fully capable of working. It processes all the information, whatever it needs to do. It's like sending something to somewhere, printing something, and so on. It processes the information and then it tells it, oh, I'm ready, I'm returning back to the other app that the signal came from. And then some apps also use a communication system that tells you the information has been processed correctly, and so on and so on. Everything happens locally, everything happens offline, and everything is extremely fast and reliable. So if you compare this to APIs, for example, those rely on internet connection. They are usually internet-based or server-based. As I said before, it can have communication problems with it. It takes more time to process it, and it has a much higher failure quote than local communications as URL scheme has directly on your own phone. And the most powerful thing about this is it brings the app to the foreground and it returns. And the return feature is something that I asked a lot of developers to put in. Thank you to Mustafa and to Shamir to put this in, to Hydra and Glyphs and a few other guys, and Paul Brook into Nameforge. A lot of stuff is coming there. So thanks guys for supporting that idea. So if maximum reliability matters, local communication will almost always outperform cloud communication. That's what I'm absolutely sure about, and that's why I set on URL schemes. Airplane mode testing. So one of the best testings you can do is set your phone into airplane mode. If you want to know if an app runs fully in the offline mode and can run with URL schemes and everything, set your phone in airplane mode, run through it and test it. If something still works on airplane mode, it's local, it's independent, and it's often way more reliable during your show. So one of the worst things that you can experience is you go to a location, have no internet connection, and they have to dismiss like 1 or 2 acts of your show. Trust me, it happened to me more than once in the past, and that's the reason why I'm building this in a total different way, and everything I build is built in the way as much as possible. I mean, don't get me wrong, some apps or some functions still require internet connection, but whatever and whenever it is possible, I'm trusting URL scheme for my apps, for my systems, because it's the most reliable thing it can be. If your system completely dies in airplane mode, then your performance depends on internet, and you don't want that. Show phone versus personal phone. So here's another concept that you may consider. Many professional performers use a dedicated performance device, not their everyday phone. Why? Because a personal phone contains social media apps, notifications, battery that it's draining really fast, background tasks, distractions, which are a big thing, WhatsApp or other messengers, and an overloaded memory, maybe because you have too many dating apps installed or whatever it is, right? So you should see it like this. I'm not saying you necessarily have to, but it's something to consider. Your performance device should behave like a tool, not like a distraction machine. Sometimes might make sense to you. It's up to you to consider that for yourself. Notifications and distractions. Another really important tip is, especially when it comes to your performance, you want to disable your notifications. You want to disable automatic updates during your show. The last thing you want to see is in the middle of a performance where you are relying on an app, your phone to decide, oh man, a new iOS version is here. Let's update for the next 35 minutes. That's something you have to definitely prevent, right? Use the Do Not Disturb function on your phone that helps you preventing pop-ups to come up that you don't want, and remove unnecessary interruptions. A professional setup is a controlled setup. So guys, here's another big thing, but I needed to get this into the video and I needed to say this. The biggest mistake people make. The biggest mistake people make, assuming technology is magic. And trust me, it's not. It is not. I mean, we're getting close, but it is actually not. So if you're a professional performer, you want to test your system, understand the system, simplify your system, also a really important thing, and remove unnecessary dependencies. Here's another thing, guys. Reliability is designed. It does not happen by accident. So if you see another performer outperforming everything you know, that's probably because they have worked a lot on the communication between apps, especially when you depend on technology in your phone. Another topic that, let's make it real quick, but it's latency. Okay, keep that in mind, guys. We make that short and sweet. Everything that's digital has latency. Bluetooth has latency, internet has latency, servers have latency, polling has latencies, push notifications have latency as well. So keep that in mind. Instant and reliable are not always the same thing, guys. So keep that in mind. Sometimes you want to prefer one over the other when it makes sense. There will be more things coming up for this topic, but that's something I just wanted to let you know. Professionals use redundancy. Here's another key concept, guys. Professional performers never rely only on one system. That's especially the case when you have big productions or big systems. You never only want to rely on one system. An example would be have a backup phone, have a backup routine, have a backup method, have a backup connection. And the most important thing to me personally is have alternative outs. That saves you a lot of stress and keeps you way more confident in performing things, especially when it comes to new routines and everything. That's really important. Professional tech magic is not about nothing ever failing, guys. It's about being prepared when something does. And I strongly believe in that, and that's the reason why I wanted to bring this into this video. The most important mindset. Guys, lastly, technology is never 100% reliable. Understand that. Systems can become extremely reliable when you truly understand iOS behavior, Bluetooth limitations, APIs, push technology, local communication, and professional workflow design. But it's up to you to put some time into this and understand how everything really works together to have a reliable workflow and understand how iOS actually processes information. Because it's not always ultimately about the app, it's a lot of times about iOS on your phone. The better you understand technology, the more invisible it becomes to your audience, guys. That's all I can say to this topic. If this video helped you understand modern Magic Apps, guys, iOS, Bluetooth, or professional performance technology a little bit better, please consider leaving a review in the store if you got this video through the store. A lot of time and real-world experience went into putting this video together, and honestly, I truly believe understanding these fundamentals can save performance an incredible amount of frustration. Please consider rewatching this video if you have not fully understood what this is all about. Technology becomes more powerful the moment you stop treating it like magic and start understanding how it actually works, guys. That's the key to everything. Most people try to learn tricks first. Professionals learn systems, and that's what we're here for. Guys, if you enjoyed this video, if this was at least a little bit helpful, this may become the first part of a much larger series about professional magic technology, workflows, and performance systems. Thank you so much for watching. I genuinely appreciate your support. I needed to get this video out because I saw that a lot of things needed to be explained. If that was helpful, let me know in the comments. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know if you want to see more of these videos, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye, guys.